gonna lie, my thumb feels kinda off today. And I'm pretty sure it's because of the quick time events. I'm pretty sure. Like, that's gotta be the reason. So where the hell are we going again? Okay, so we gotta go that way. I'm gonna go this way first. See what happens.
This building has a certain...
Oh, come on. Okay. Like mistakes like that are
Let's
good.
dance!
Nope.
A storm is coming.
Do some lightning damage, why not? Shoot that as well, actually no. I know he's probably weak ice, right? So let's do this for now. My thumb weird. That's fine. Got this. Nice, so we learned staggering attack. That is very good. I think I might actually hold on. Because you have exposing attack. Oh, did you get a new weapon? Oh, you did? Oh. Okay, it's worse than what you have now, though, so I'm not switching that. I wonder if you can sell weapons. You probably can. I didn't really try before. Get armor to counter use counter type damage. If there's anyone who should be getting that, that should be Maeve, right? I think she does the most damage. No. It's you. It says 158, but really, I feel like Loon does the most damage. Either Loon or Male. Or Male. I forgot how to say her name. She already has Omni to attack, Dodger, and Cleansing Tint. Okay. Actually, why does she have Dodger? Why do you have that? I'm pretty sure you've already learned that, right? So you don't need... Hold on. Okay. We have our Dodger though. What do you have? You have staggering attack, critical burn, burning shots. I'll give it to you for now. I'll give you armor to counter. We'll do that. And you already have Dodger equipped, which is good. Staggering attack would be nice for you, so definitely activate that. Critical burn, armament attack, you definitely want armament attack. That's... Does that cost 7? Is that what that means? Oh, nope. Let's not do that then. Because if it costs 7, I don't want to do that. Like, don't get me wrong, 50% increased base damage is very nice, but it's not worth 7 points. It's just not, right? So... Okay, so we already have all that set up. And for you, what do you have? Give you staggering attack for sure. For you... I don't think she really needs a marking. I don't really shoot with her much. I need to save up. I think we keep the remaining stuff that we have. It's fine. I always get lost when I'm like in the menu or doing anything then. Is that a person up there? No, I think it's just like a bell or something. I don't know. Okay, I got it that time. They got the fast guy, I do not like that. We deal with him first, because that is going to be annoying. see. It's more like the thumb's not feeling the best. Okay. Would you have like a... Oh, you don't have an AoE attack. You need to learn that. If you could take him down, that would be like... Okay, that's good. So... I mean... Let's go with smart. That was literally perfect. We got a big boy over there. Let me pick this up first. Oh, come on. What the... There we go.
An advantage.
Let me sneak up on this guy. Oh, I shot the wrong thing. Oh my god. How did I make that mistake? Okay. Okay, well, how about you don't miss, huh? Okay, you didn't miss at least.
Let me help.
I think... Well, I don't think I've shot with you before, have I? Interesting. Okay. Nope. I knew that was a jump attack. I just knew from like instinct pretty much what happened to that one. It's really nice that you're with the electricity. Makes things a lot easier. Like you have electricity authority.
This will be useful.
We have to go this way, which we can't, so... Okay. Let's keep going this way. Oh my god, I missed.
Letting you flow.
Yeah. We're done.
Flames. On me.
And you're we have to go left from here. Yep. hold on. What is this? Do I have to go up there? Like, is it... I think I do. Okay, so I want to go up here. I want to see what's up here. Wait, oh my god, what is the rate of that? Like, seriously. You can't get too close, and you can't get too far either. It's a bit awkward. I have a better idea. I'll just probably tell electricity.
Take him down.
I wish you had a lightning attack. That'd be really nice right about now. Oh, I missed it.
Who's there? What's up?
Missed the first one, unfortunately. Now I can just kill all of them doing this.
Lightning. Strike.
Or not, because it actually died from that. Interesting.
Take him down.
Do you have an AoE? You don't have an AoE attack. I wish you did, though. We could just shoot them, though. I just shoot them. There we go. That should do it. We learned augmented counter 1. Okay. So what's up here? Like, why did I do all this?
Well, that will help.
After free aim hit, base attack damage increases by 50% for 1 turn. Interesting. I mean, you should definitely have that, I feel like. I mean, you've learned augmented counter, right? So... I mean, you don't need... Because you could switch this with versatile. And you can literally just learn augmented counter. There we go. Increase counterattack damage is like wonderful. I think everyone needs that pretty much. Same thing with you. All of you need augmented counter. Like that is a must-have. What's the hell looking like? Okay, so Maeve is literally about to die. That is unfortunate. She'll live though. Do I just drop down? Can I do that? Or am I gonna die? How do I get up here again? Got up here from the... Okay, hold on. I think I could just drop down. That's... Okay, you don't take fall damage. That's nice. There's a candy. That is wonderful. Let's rest. Upgrade attributes. Okay, so give you some more agility. Let's get your might up there. Vitality and defense. Should be good for you. For you, let's get your defense up. Let's do that. Yeah, let's keep upping your might and agility. For you, let's get your luck up there. That should be good. Now for skills, what do you have? Choose low single target fire damage, one hit target goes weak to fire damage for 2 turns. Oh, so you can apply a weakness now. That's interesting. I might... Fire isn't bad, but if it was like ice or electricity, that'd be better. Do you have that? I don't think you have that either. Applies defensive list to all enemies for 3 turns. That is pretty cool. I kind of want that, I'm not gonna lie. Destroys all target shields, gains 1 AP for per shield destroyed. Wow. She's a shield breaker as well. Oh my god, you are freaking amazing. Protects allies by taking damage in their place. That's a terrible idea considering I didn't give you any defense. And your defense is 30, right? Like... Huh, interesting. So maybe you're supposed to be taking damage. Yeah, I think I kind of messed up on that then, huh? Like, if I were to... Can I reset this? Let me recode for that. Because apparently she's supposed to be the one taking damage. I might recode it later, but like right now it's kind of pointless because it's like it's a skill, right? It's like a taunt sort of thing. But like if she gets it later, you can't use it yet, so there's no point. Something to think about. I completely forgot to check you. Oh, there you go. Now you can use the stain thing. Definitely want that. Mayhem. Assign that to... I think thermal transfer is actually better because for the AP, so I think it lands. Because mayhem is... Oof. Sounds awesome. Okay, so now we have to go this way. Oh my god, this looks... Yeah, oh, okay. Something's about to happen here, I can tell. I can tell, okay? You see this much open space, you know something's about to happen. You know. You just know. Oh boy. There we go.
Watch out!
You're right.
Damn, he's huge.
It only attacked when...
Coming.
Okay. Go. that. I guess I was to be wrong there. Like I was waiting for the indicator. Wait, do you have a weak point? I don't think you do, right? You do not. Just want to be sure. We've already taken damage here, which is unfortunate. I should just regular attack. I don't know what I was doing. I can't believe I actually dodged that. I'm impressed with myself. That's gone now. I'm wondering what he's weak to. That's what I'm wondering right now.
Feel the burn.
It's not weak to fire.
Точка.
There we go. It's already on fire, so what I can do is... Oh my god, I'm so impressed. I could probably parry that now because I know what he's doing. He's resistant to ice. That's good to know. He is burning, so you get some AP from this. That's an AP.
I'm ready.
Physical damage.
This and precision.
There we go. He grows flowers. What's that do? Okay. Can I shoot at the flowers? Yes, I can. No, I cannot. I'm wondering if the colors matter. Well, none of them are yellow, so I'm assuming white thing's not gonna do anything. Can I aim at the... No, I can't aim at the flowers. Interesting. Okay. Okay, I have 3 now. Not quite there yet. I'm gonna heal you. I know it's a bit early. But I'm gonna... Okay, he did 3 jumps this time. That was a bit scary.
Strike.
Absorbs their power. It gave him shields. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna dodge that next time. Well, I can't use overcharge now, right? Because... Oh, so it's only for you. Okay.
Let me help.
should heal with you. I really should. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. That should be good to go. I'm gonna shoot you twice. Or no, I'll shoot you once. Yeah, I'm not attacking. Guess that's gone. Oh, I still don't have... Ah, damn, I used one stain there, which is unfortunate. Okay, yeah, full stain. If he doesn't attack this turn, I'm gonna use it.
Guard up! I'm ready. Shields up!
Yeah, I can use overcharge now.
For those who come after.
Missed one. He's broken. No longer stunned. You're gonna be stunned again in just a second here, bud. Mayhem. My, did you see how much damage that did? Oh my god, that was ridiculous, man. What the hell was that? That was disgusting. Okay.
On me.
Okay, just gonna go more flowers. Let's go with a marking shot.
Take him down.
The lightning, that's good. I don't think I'm gonna have enough mayhem, so I'm wondering if I'm just gonna heal, and that's probably better. That's a good heal. Yeah, it's like no. That was perfect.
I'm ready.
Okay. Let's go for a swift stride. Maybe messed up. Nope. You're done. Wait, did she even land the attack? I swear she didn't even actually like land it. Okay. I'll take it.
Gustav, wait! It seems peaceful. As long as we don't touch the flowers.
Yeah, let's not get too sentimental. It's still a Paintress creation. Putain! Damn, Maya, what was that?
It felt familiar somehow.
Gustav, we won't understand what's going on if we kill everything that moves.
Yeah, come on now.
Look, a red tree.
He's just escaping.
Gestrel village must be ahead.
You know what Neverons are capable of.
Sure.
She'll be fine.
But it wasn't attacking. It literally just ran away.
She'll be fine.
Bro, you and I both know how strong she is, okay? Don't even with me. Upgrade the healing then. No. They keep saying you can upgrade at... Oh! At camp! Oh! I know what they're talking about. They're not talking about, like, the expedition stuff. No, they're talking about, like, the actual camp and, like, the world map. I gotta take a look at that then. Is this the right way? I'm not sure this is the right way now. It's not. Okay, I'm gonna rest first though. Greater attributes. Let's do that. I think I might actually recoach you to like defense and might instead. I'm gonna do that. Yeah, let's do that. I think that makes more sense for you. Because if you look at her stats now, 37 defense. Yeah, she's the tank. She is definitely the tank. Except I have more health than her. Is it because... Yeah, okay. It's because I'm focusing on... Okay, so I'm like 9, so okay, so... Defense, vitality, might. Defense, might, and vitality. So it's slightly different. And I feel like it'll be interesting keep doing it this way. And then for you, what do you got here? I'm not gonna get that yet. You have 3 points. I want to get this one. This one sounds freaking amazing. Same thing with this one. Destroys all shields. Like, that's amazing. We gotta get to camp, man. We gotta upgrade our weapons. Like, we gotta do all that. Flying waters. Okay, so we've done it now. We've gone through the entire area. Male's nightmare. That sound good. Oh, you mean what literally happened? Okay. Wait, no, what? Wait, this is different. What? Did that ever happen? Yeah, I don't think it's gonna reach that far, but...
Still too far.
Yep.
Being out here isn't what I expected.
As expected. Hey. You okay?
Death out here's not like death in Lumiere, is it? I thought I was used to losing people. I've have a foster child, right? But not like that. On the beach. That man.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Nevrons we were prepared for, but not. And now we finally found other survivors, and it's... You know, that's the insidious thing about the Gamage. It's predictable, almost gentle. It makes Lumiere complacent and accepting, but... The Gamage is equally violent than death. Death is just as final.
I've been having nightmares.
Yeah, me too. Look, if death approaches, I want you to run. No, promise me. Run. Especially if we meet the man from the beach. We can't face him. You see him, you run.
He's the final boss, bro. We're not running.
Only if you do the same.
Oh, I'm running as soon as I see a strand of white hair, trust me. You won't even see me, I'm running so fast.
Oh, please, you're an old man. I can outrun you any day.
Yeah, right. There was a time when 30 was young, you know.
Oh boy.
Sure.
Oh, it's that guy.
Surprised to find you here.
Yeah, how'd he get here?
I hope we can trust him.
Well, at least we can upgrade our Pictos.
Hmm. Yeah. Let's do that. Your creator offers you his services. Okay. There it is. Upgrade weapons. Okay, so okay. Finally. Let me do this first. Creator can increase Lumina points for each character and improve chance by increasing your potency. Oh. Adding Lumina point to your character costs 1 color Lumina. There's no limit to the amount of Lumina points that your character can have. Interesting. Improving tends to require special items. Each team requires a different item. Improving tends to be the same factors. Each thing can only be twice. Okay. Well, I'm gonna improve you. Oh, it's like it changes its it changes how it looks as well. It's interesting. So we have a bunch of these. I want to use some of them. Just start adding some. Yeah, there you go. Okay. As for weapons, you can upgrade weapons. The list of available weapons on the current character is shown on the left screen. You can be swayed by power, by level. Okay. Weapons are the main source of attack power. Passive effects weapons can't be learned as Lumina and as Lumina and only active weapons equipped. Weapons also scale the damage from some of their attributes. For example, weapons scale to agility means that the more agility the character has, the more damage the weapon will deal. And scaling power is defined from the source. Oh, that is interesting. Okay. Really? The character can upgrade your weapons as you become so balanced. So right now, this weapon is like the ideal weapon because might and defense are like my most important stats. Luck I don't have much of, but that's fine. As for the others, defense. Okay, so so you can upgrade the interesting. Oh, I need a polished chroma crystal for this one. I only have one of those, so do I really want to use that? I don't know if I want to use that. And you have... So you have to... Okay, so these weapons you have to level up, because if you don't get the abilities, right? So... thing is, I don't know if I want to do that, you know? Because, like, it's so early in the game. This is... Fighter skills cost 1 less AP. Nobody gives a shit about that. Come on now. Agility and might, I guess that's perfect. Well, agility unlocked, never mind. I'm gonna use one of these polished ones on Maeve or Male. Like, I'm gonna work on this. She might get a better weapon. That's the only thing I'm worried about. Is like, do I really want to use this now? I'll do it. Let's just do it. Come on. If we just unlocked this, we should probably, like, you know, use it. I think we might as well. Okay. We talked to everyone. How's everyone doing?
Told you Gestrels were real.
You did not.
Well, I thought it.
How did the Gestrels survive out here?
I'm not sure.
I can't wait to ask them. Gestrels?
Fair enough. Find the Gestral village in the middle of the ancient sanctuary. Okay. Well, let's do that. Oh, check on the others? Oh, so you have to, okay, so you can't just, like, go up to them and talk to them. You have to, like, actually go to the fireplace to do that.
Been a long time since I've seen you play.
A Gestral village?
Yeah. I still can't believe they exist. I mean, what other fairy tales are real?
This is ultimately a war of information. There's still too much we don't understand. Where the Paintress comes from? Why she does what she does? Who is she? 70 years and we still barely know anything.
And the man on the beach. Yeah, too many unknowns. But if we take down the Paintress, at least that gives future generations a chance to unravel the mystery.
You seem better than before.
Yeah. Holding it together. Shock's worn off. A bit. We can't bring anyone back. But I thought we can keep their spirit alive by pushing forward. And at least there's 3 of us now. The mission hasn't changed.
Tomorrow comes.
Tomorrow comes.
Now, does my owl get one? No, she doesn't. Okay. Riding a joke? Yes. Definitely do that. He writes about how the arm they created for him was incredibly useful against wire-type neurons. Perhaps that one day is the best we'd ever become. Yeah.
For those who come after.
Current objective. Okay. So. Okay, so we're back here again. So where are we going? We gotta go. Okay, hold on. Oh no, I did not mean to do that. Are you serious? I didn't. I pressed the wrong button. God damn it. I wanted to open the map. Okay. Okay, so we gotta go like left-ish, basically.
Did Noko tell you anything more about the village, other than red trees everywhere?
Noko's not great with specifics.
We'll just have to think like Gestrels then.
Can't go through, you know. Whoa, you guys are freaking huge. Do I get something by beating you? I'm curious. Like, morbidly curious. No, I shouldn't have shot twice with my doing. Rookie mistake right there. Oh, dodge.
Romance is flowing.
Okay, so you're on fire now, or not?
Right!
Get ready.
Okay, she took a lot of damage right there.
Let me help.
Oh, come on, are you serious? Oh, you're stunned. I can't even dodge from here. Well, this is going well.
I won't waste this.
I won't disappoint. Ready to go.
Hurts.
So you're burning, so we do that. Oh my god, he attacks so awkwardly.
Strike! Parry it!
There we go. I don't really know if that was worth it, to be honest. What do we got
Well,
from
that will help.
Oh, okay, Clair. That's all we got. That reminds me, I actually haven't messed with that yet, have I? Oh, this actually does more damage now. Vitality and agility. I mean, I don't have agility, so I think that's gonna work. So this might actually be better? No. Because I have more agility than the other one, so it's like, But this one actually has ice element. Elemental damage is better than just physical damage. Base attack applies defense for 1 turn. That's 10 boon numbers and lighting up. I'll take the augmented attack on you, definitely. I'll get that. I'm gonna get that for everyone, including you. Yeah, not yet, but eventually. It's my plan. Do we get any new Pictos? No. Go up here? No? Go around, I guess. You feel so slow here because like it's such a big area. Like it's not that I'm slow, it's just the area is so freaking huge. Is that an enemy? I think that's an enemy. I don't want to fight that. Not on my current health. I don't know. There's something over there. I don't know how to get that. Was I going the wrong way? Hold on. Is the gray arrow where I'm supposed to go? Because I was following the red arrow. Maybe it's the gray arrow. For my sense of direction's this bad, man. I want y'all to know that. Like, it really is this bad. Like, I'm not joking. Yeah, I was following the wrong arrow the entire time, bro. How is that possible? Okay, we have to go, like, this way. It's, like, over here somewhere. I mean, the arrow's not... Oh, here we go. Yeah, it's gotta be this, right? Oh, no, so it is the red arrow. Okay, never mind. I was right.
That's a lot of red trees to search.
They must have some sort of track or trail leading to the village.
Wait, I hear something. It might be Nevrons. Be careful, okay?
It's a good thing there's a camp right here, man. I'm glad the game's so nice to me. I'm the one who decided to fight those guys for no reason. They're just hanging around. I was like, nah, man, I gotta fight you. For whatever reason. Let's put more into might. Skills. Deals low single target lightning damage, 3 hits. Critical hits trigger an additional hit, consumes. Okay. It's cool. I don't really need that right now. Just wait. Oh, you have a reviving skill? Oh, I gotta save up for that. That'd be freaking awesome. It costs 5 though. It's very expensive. limited by 460%. Oh, she can apply regen. That, oh my god, Meg, you are freaking amazing. Okay, so I can either get the shield destruction thing, or I can get the protect allies thing. Or the defenseless thing. So many good options here. I don't think the protecting allies is gonna work right now. Her health is like her defense and health is not good enough yet. Maybe eventually, but not right now. I'm not quite there yet. I'll take the breaking. Your target is defenseless. Play a second turn. Oh, that is. So you could pair it with this. Okay, so I'm gonna learn this first. We'll get the other one later. I haven't used offensive switch even once. I'm not even gonna bother using it. Just switch that out. What the? What? Get over here. Could you stop running? Stop running around, I swear to God. Oh, you're not running anymore? I don't know what the hell was the point of all that. A petanque.
Let the ink flow.
Oh my god, you have shields. It's like the game's freaking mocking me for making my decision, man. I'm sticking by it, okay? Deal with it.
Let me help.
How much does guard uptake? 3? Ah, that's the last one. Oh, you're not attacking? Really? You need to. Now we defy, that's for sure. He dies? No, I don't think you are. Oh. More shield.
Ready to evade.
I don't know how I dodged that. I think that was way too late. He's gonna flee in 3 turns?
Finesse and grace.
Really? I bet you drop something real good, don't you? I bet you. If only I knew what you were weak to, this would make things so much easier.
Spill some
Mark you.
ink.
You are burning, so I'm thinking of using Swift Stride. 6 shield. How am I supposed to kill this guy? I think you need that skill. Okay, I know it's way too early. Like, I literally cannot break this much shield. I mean, I can use this. Because I have it now.
Lightning. Strike.
Your shield's gone now, so. Keep marking you. Should be able to use this. on fire, so let me do this. Get that AP. Oh my god, you gain 9 shield now. Oh my god, you are a freaking monster. Too early, okay. He's gonna flee next turn, so we gotta take him down here. Please tell me you can use lightning. Yes, you can. Oh my god, this is wonderful. Okay. Do it. Oh my god, okay, we gotta kill him here. Gotta kill him here. Use marking shot. That was close, man. That was sweaty. Okay. Oh my god, he drops 5 polished chroma catalysts and 1 Rico. Okay, we gotta look out for these guys. We gotta kill them. Like, this is... wow. We can't ignore them. 100%, we gotta take down all of them.
Nice.
Emergency jump, plus 1 AP on jump counters. That's very specific. I don't know if I'm ever gonna use that, to be honest. Do we have cleansing tint mastered, by the way? We do. Okay, so you can take that off now. You don't really need to keep that on. You can take the energizing jump or the augmented counter. Get the augmented counter. But do you already have that? Like, if I take this away and give you energizing jump, okay, you already have that, I think. Or no, you don't. But I can give it to you now. Okay, that's good. So you have that, and you have energizing jump, cleansing tint, augmented attack, I guess. Give you augmented attack as well. You definitely need that. You already have that. You do. Yeah. Whoa, what the hell? Am I supposed to? Okay.
Nice.
Light burner hitting a marked enemy. That's certainly interesting. Do you have staggering attack? I hope you do. You do? Okay, so you can learn burning mark. Oh, you don't have to. Okay, well, learn it now. There we go. This attack applies to defenses. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna. That's 10, and that's not gonna be worth it. Actually, you still have Dodger. I feel like I should switch that with something else. I don't know. Just keep it, I guess. I don't know. What else I can do there? Okay. Do I have to go up again? So. So where am I going there? Do I swim? Can't swim. I have to go up there somehow. Oh, okay. hell? What's with this dude? Another expedition. 33. Who are you? Me? A dream. An illusion. I don't really remember what I did all of this for. I miss laughing with everyone. What are you talking about? Clay... What were their names? Why do I forget? So I'm guessing like all these people are like from the expedition, right? Like for some reason they're like kept here. Everything is washed away. Boy's gone silent. Cool. Can I talk to you again? Okay. That's where we came from. A lot of bones.
That's a lot of dead Nevrons.
Who did?
Down?
I don't see
I
any.
think they mean us.
They must be gestrels. They're cute, but they're idiots.
Oh. Oh, fuck.
Hey, we're not Nevrons!
Don't think they're listening. Oh my god. Thought I dodged that movie? That was way quicker than I was expecting. You have your shield up now, huh? Interesting.
Let me help.
Not looking good. On me.
You have to jump that? What the hell just happened? So you can't hit him when he has a shield up. I wish I knew that sooner. That's unfortunate.
Thanks.
Let's push forward. Careful, Mael.
Oh my god, you have to dodge at the end as well. This guy is nuts, bro. What the hell am I doing here? Get me out of this. I did not mean to heal you. Why'd I just do that?
Hurts.
Oh my god, I was too early. This guy is nasty, bro. I haven't done anything to him yet. Okay, I think shield's done. Right? Like, I think I can attack him now.
Finesse.
Yeah, no counterattack. Oh god.
Let's push forward.
Okay.
Oh my god, he takes so long for that last attack, bro. He's not even funny.
You do it.
I'm on fire now, so.
Run.
I think I missed the first one. Oh my god, I waited too long. Damn, man, this is hard. Okay.
For those who come after.
I think he's done. Oh, come on, I dodged that. Are you serious? Oh, I got a weapon from that, though. Okay. That was wonky, man. I don't know if I even deserve that win. That was a wonky victory.
Don't worry. We don't want to hurt you, Patat. Noko sent us.
Kapatate. Oh, noko te kepate. Oh, hati noko ke parka debe sakapatate.
If you guide us to your
What?
village,
Lero maricón. Okay, il. Pero que de mi bosa kapatat. Ni sugama bi de virageo.
Not
Guide us
happening.
to your village, and maybe he'll make you something better.
Wait, what are you?
Cheri saka kipo.
Trust me. I hate liars.
Okay, il. Kama vive. Leko gami
How
sakapatat.
do you understand it?
I gomi aro putu.
You're better with gesturals than humans.
They're less complicated.
We got a sock 111 power. Okay. Is that your weapon? No, I think it's mine. Right? 118 damage. Not nearly enough. And the element is only physical, so it's like, it's not even worth it. I'm not using that. Ooh, we learned versatile. What does that do again? After free, oh, base attack damage increased by 50% for one turn. It's good for me and only for me, so I think I'll just keep that as one of my pick those like permanently. Cause I feel like he's the only person who really shoots, you know? I think it makes more sense for him to have all the like shooting ones. Anything down here? Wait, aren't we supposed to be like, you know, allowed in? Why do I feel like she's gonna attack me? Oh, she is. Weren't we supposed to be like invited in? Why are we attacking them? Why are they attacking us? What the hell is going on? Like what? Shoulder weakens. Oh, so you have to hit it multiple times. Interesting.
Let me help.
chroma is flowing.
Okay, I think I need to hit it one more time.
I'm ready.
That's still not enough. That's interesting.
Shields up. Let's dance.
Oh, come on. I thought I was... Okay.
Finesse and grace.
That's still not enough. How many times have you hit your shoulder? Can you even break your shoulder? Like, is that just like a red herring? What? Really? It's very hard to tell with like magic attacks. That's annoying.
Danger!
It's so hard to tell. Like, you have to like lose on purpose to actually know when they're gonna hit you. There's literally no other way. I refuse to believe it.
These things are fascinating.
How do they even stand?
Can I go in here?
Nice.
Cool. That was an enemy? Bro, I was so confused. I was like, what is happening?
I'm ready. Take cover.
Bro, what that? Why is it so fast?
Second ring.
On guard. Shields up.
A storm is coming.
Why am I healing you? You're not even...
Have no time.
Oh, come on, that last one was so unfair.
Not looking good.
A storm is coming.
Thank God.
Take him down.
From fire.
Few more AP. We had two of those guys. Yeah, we have ice now, so we can do that.
Feel the burn.
God. When are you supposed to dodge that? When? I can never dodge that. It's so ridiculous. Okay, you got a new weapon. 84, 124. Okay, it's definitely way better. Vitality and luck. Sure. Not the best, but that'll work. How the hell am I supposed to get up there? Go down here.
Ugh, this place is confusing.
Oh yeah,
They built it to make their village harder to find.
clearly. It's making things pretty hard for me, that's for sure. Don't trust this place. What is the point of... Oh. Oh my god, it's like a freaking maze, bro. Where am I going? What am I doing?
An advantage.
Nope. Nope, 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 nope. I'll fight you, but... Bring it. Round 2. Okay. Oh my god, there's 2. Are you serious, bro? Are those, like, handles weak points? Let me try shooting them. It's damaged? Is it damaged? It doesn't feel like it. It's like it's not doing anything.
Let me help.
Like, is this actually doing it? Because I don't feel like it is, you know? Like, I really don't. Oh yeah, I forgot I have guard down, though. I have not been using that, like, at all. I missed the first one like a freaking idiot.
On me! Take cover!
I could not tell when he was gonna hit that. There we go. I was like, is there any way to break that, or? Okay, you're pretty much done. Oh, thank God. I was gonna get upset if I still didn't dodge that.
Their defenses are down.
I feel like he still has a shield up, but he didn't counterattack when I hit him. So, maybe it's safe? I don't know. I'm hoping it's safe. Okay, so now we can't hit him. If we hit him, we're gonna get counterattacked. Let's just sit around for a bit. Yeah, just skip turn. Don't even do anything. Just sit there. Defense is still down, so I think it's only for one turn that you can hit him again. I think that's how it works. I'm hoping that's how it works.
I'll do it.
Too early. I think now we can hit him. He is burning, so.
Gustav, don't die!
Never mind. How long am I supposed to wait? Am I supposed to just take the counterattack? It takes a century to not attack, doesn't he? I don't really understand how that mechanic works, but okay.
Okay.
He counterattacks, so I think we can attack him now. At least I freaking hope we can at this point.
Let's push forward.
If I use healing light, I'm gonna lose my freaking stains again, bro. That's gonna be super annoying. I have to though.
Parry it!
I can't even hit that, bro. That is so unfair. Like this. It's not gonna matter if we take him out here. I have overcharge, so I can finish him off. Or not. Never mind. I freaking lied.
I can do it!
Can you do it? I don't think you can.
Gustav, don't die!
Why does he wait a second before swinging, man? It's like throwing me off. Like, I hate that.
I won't lose again.
Okay.
Oh, thank God.
Dodge, Gustav.
God, he takes a million years to get to you, bro. I'm not even joking. I'm literally like, my entire party is like pretty much at death's door now. Okay, that's what we're supposed to. Oh, it's not going over there. What is this? Okay, same place, I remember. Is that? I'm not sure. Okay. Let's get you to 5. For you. Let's do that. Let's see here. Oh, I can't get this yet? Well, I only have one. You, however. medium earth damage. I don't care about that. What else do you have? Extreme damage. Use high ice damage on enemies. And heals allies. Oh, that's... Huh. That is interesting. I want to get that healing thing first, for the revive thing. That'd be very nice. Gosh, she has like a bunch of damage. Look at all of this, bro. Oh my god, she is gonna be nuts. I can already tell. Oh, so now I can go back down here. That we've already been here before, I think.
Zombie alert! Zombie alert! Ultimate weapon!
Oh my god.
Bogi bogi, ultimate sakapatate, ebokobo, fighto, odi, loku.
They sound
So
like
cool.
kids.
We must be getting close to the village.
Oh boy, this guy's a big boy.
What you do?
He's got cannons on the shield. Okay.
Kinda looks the same as all the others.
You think so?
Invisible. Si me conocí gamma, invisible.
Doesn't make any
Don't get
sense.
cocky, Maya. Look at its equipment. That looks a lot more dangerous than the others. No, seriously.
That was a jump. I messed that up. Okay. Can I shoot you somewhere? I think I can. Your shield blocking it. I literally can't shoot that.
Henry! Shields up!
You're probably weak to fire, right? But I dodged that.
Please survive!
Got that one. I want to attack that weak thing, but like it's literally hitting the end shield, so it's unfortunate.
Take him down.
That was good. Because you're on fire, so let's do this. Okay, here's your shield. If I attack him, that's gonna be a problem. But if I can break him one turn, do I have my overcharge? I do, but I don't have enough to use it yet. I've got an idea. Let's do that. That is so instant. What do you want me to do with that?
Let's finish this.
Parry it!
Let's push forward.
That is such an unfair attack, though. Like, literally, it's so fast, you can't even do anything.
Wow, thanks.
Okay, I'm sorry. That attack is unfair. Literally, you cannot dodge that. Unless you literally predict, like you guess. You have to guess that. It's not about reaction speed, you have to guess it, literally. There is no other way. I'm sorry. This guy is gonna be a real nuisance, I can already tell you that much.
Brace yourselves.
If I could shoot its weak point, it'd be great, but I can't do that with this angle.
En garde! Shields up! Let's dance!
I'm gonna save for the overcharge. We definitely need that. Yeah, okay. Still don't have enough for the overcharge, damn it. If I attack it, it's just a counter attack, right? Like, what is...
Their defenses are down.
A storm is coming.
Gustav, don't die!
It's so freaking ridiculous. Oh, thank God.
Let's push forward.
I'm not reacting, I'm just guessing. Literally, that's all you can do.
Please survive!
What do you want me to do? Seriously.
For those who come after.
Okay.
Chroma is flowing.
No longer stunned.
Take cover!
You got it.
Chroma is flowing.
Almost missed a counter there. It's not burning anymore. I do have overcharge. Let's go for it.
For those who come after.
Good damage.
This hurt.
Okay, you have it now.
Finesse and precision.
Spot exposed. Yes. That's what I've been looking for. Who goes next? He goes next. Okay, we have to take advantage. Arm is broken. Perfect. And you can use Mayhem as well. Perfect. Go for it. Oh my god, that was perfect.
Get ready.
I'll do it.
Did not expect any of that. It's burning right now.
From fire. Let us
Feel the burn. Brace yourselves.
I'm ready.
Storm's coming.
Can't heal anything else. Really concerned anymore. Okay, good. Oof. Wow, stressful, man. Oh, we got Breaker. 25% increased break damage. That's very nice. We gotta get that.
Sakapatat garbage! Millo pollo! Chef Sammy kamatille!
Chef.
Gorda! Lomma vida faitor! Kottara chestral kambori!
Why is he called Chef then?
Gorda fimkola nissu! Pukki!
Your voices are so nice. Ancient Sanctuary. Why do we go to Ancient Sanctuary? Okay. I think we have... Because I think you can switch that off with Baker. Because you already have dodging, so. Plus 1 AP on jump counter attack. It's 5 though. God damn, it's expensive. You can get it. I don't know if it's worth it though. We'll save on that for a bit. Got more weak codes. It's nice. Wait, we're back here. Interesting, so we have to... It's like an entirely new area. Cool. Oh, I should have camped first. Let me actually do that. Hold on. I don't know if there's anything new in camp, but I want to be sure. No, okay. I mean, I could write in my journal, but I assume I could do that later as well. Like, this is something I'll have to remember. Like, before starting a new area, I gotta go to camp at least once. Because it could be like freaking convos I'm missing on. Wow, the village looks so cool. It's the first time here. First time in this life. I got revived at the Sacred River not too long ago. I'm only 5.5 hours old. Very specific, okay. That's interesting. Thank you, little one. Time to train. You should train too. I'm serious, you really need to train, okay? Okay, bro. I get it. Sure. Let's go with... Let's do that. Almost a 10 might, oh my god. Let's get to that actually, or not. 10 might and agility, oh my god. You freaking nuts. No, you're gonna be at 10 might and 10 defense as well. Let's go. Ooh, I can get a new skill. Deal high lightning damage to all enemies. If a target is broken by the hit, overcharge is fully charged. Huh. That's interesting. What does this do? Deal very high single target damage, 6 hits, uses enemy's weapon's element. Critical hits generate 2 additional charges. That's 10 though. It's gonna take me a century to get. Actually, I'm already up to 6. I might actually be able to get that. Like, this looks interesting as well. Overcharge is fully charged and high lightning damage. It's the same element though. It costs 5, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to get that, no. The strike form, oh, that costs 7. Yeah, I'll get this. Who can you get? Yeah, I want to get this for you, right? Just for, I don't have that yet. As for you, I'm gonna get the revive thing for you, which you're very close to getting now. That's nice.
Dove mi Bob, Lola Kena Gomi. There my bano for me.
Unless you try to cause problems, then we'll beat you up. It'll be fun for me, but not for you. Oh yeah? But now I think I could beat your ass. Noted though.
Me?
I'm a nice brush. What?
Igawiro kumi pomi kulo mama mu.
It's gonna be like this everywhere, huh? They all wanna fight, man. They all wanna throw down.
It's really a village of Jestrels.
I respect it.
They seem better at surviving than humans.
I guess intelligence is not a prerequisite for survival on the continent. Now to find the chief's house. Probably the biggest one.
Oh, chief. She said chef before, I swear that's what she said. Maybe I'm dumb, I don't know. Uh-huh, yeah, sure, buddy. Keep bragging. That doesn't sound good. Must understand my pain. Yeah, sure I do. Whatever you say, bud. I think that's a chief right there. I'm not gonna talk to him yet. There's a lot going on here. It doesn't sound very fun. Whatever floats your boat. It was an expression, but okay. Never mind. Oh, is he? Oh, he follows me around. Oh, that's cool. Get impressed by those things, okay? Turn back. That doesn't sound good. What the hell's going on over here? What is this? Dot 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 dot. Oh my god. What the Bro, stop, please. What kind of dance moves are those? What the hell bro? Stop doing that, your legs are like going inside the ground, bro. What am I looking at? What is... Bro, you're bugging out the characters. Stop doing that, please. What on earth, bro? What the hell did I just... Is he still doing... He's still doing it. Oh my god. Could you stop doing that, please? I can't look away. Oh my god. Why just so respectful here? I thought they'd already be shouting. There they go. They just don't shout all the time. Yeah. Is it just a smaller arena? He's like, oh shit, you're right. You're a missionary. Oh, I love these guys. They're great. But there's something over there. How do we get that? Okay, he's not gonna talk to me. Fair enough. I wanna grab this thing over here. What's up here? What's the point of coming up here? What? Oh, okay. Can I parkour that?
Perfect.
I don't think I can. There's no way I can parkour that. Let me try. Yeah, I can't do that. Sorry. There's no way in hell that's happening. What are these two doing?
arricchire dove lo tonne. Bello.
Au café.
Cool. Cool, cool.
Come wina fosse matumano. Kitomi nalu pokita.
What's there?
Wina fosse rito kuroma maki putura kinasano.
So?
Kitomi nalu pokita.
Games like Cobra, no fighting? What kind of ridiculous nonsense is that? Makes me sick. You should try new stuff, buddy. Come on now. Fighting isn't everything. Damn, it's that bad it makes it want to puke? Jeez, man. Get a new hobby, seriously. Like, you know it's bad if you, like... If you consider other hobbies, like, so bad that you have to puke when you think about them. Like, that's an issue. It's impressive, you're quite a hard worker. One nice place before casinos and everyone will listen to jazz. Oh my god. We'll be allowed to see it happen. Yeah. Can I go over there? I can, okay. Can I actually go inside? No, I think it's blocked off, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, what the? No. I am not gambling, okay? It's not happening. You can't make me. Not in a game, not in real life. Not happening.
An advantage.
Oh, this is like a fighting arena?
Yeah. Ate grinda. Awa. Amina nina. Keso. Kitome nalu pokita. Eh?
Can't do it. Oh, I love these guys. They're great. You both are cowards, man. Just freaking start the fight already. You're wasting everyone's time. Come on now. Wow, what's happening? Oh yeah. That's an understatement. So you've been warned. Okay. I mean, I already went inside, so nothing really happened. Bit of a disappointment. Not gonna lie. What's over here? Okay, there's nobody interesting. Okay. Like, nobody here. Chief's house. And we're back here. Okay. Alright, let's move on. What the hell is going on over there? You sound way too eager about getting beaten up. Pain is life. Oh goddamn. Good for you. But there's so much going on. I don't even know where to go. Like, what are you all doing? What are you working on? Damn, okay, great talk. Very polite, huh? What are you laughing about it? What are you building? Okay. That's cool, I guess. You keep doing that. What? Hello again. Thank you for guiding us to the village. No plans to use soccer pets gonna keep attacking us? Then no. Good point, alright, how can I help? Respect your ambition. If you have something in mind, something that will make it ultimate or whatever. You already tried using cannons, and I hated that, so please don't add any more cannons. I think I could need better gunpowder. Could see that during our fight too. You definitely need something stronger. You think so? I don't think so. I struggled with that fight. Okay, I know just the thing. It's not only more powerful, it's also easy to carry. If I have to fight something that's stronger than that because I help them, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. I swear. One mushroom spores, the blue kind. Cultivate them in Lumiere. They have quite a lot of interesting uses. Maybe we can get some? Guess I'm looking for a cavern with a large body of water. I'll do that later, I guess. It's very impressive. What are you doing? What happened, man? Designing a new defensive attachment for the next Skakapate, but I feel like I'm not that great at it. You know, it's kind of annoying because like I feel like the voice acting isn't like full. It's like they talk for like half of the way, and the rest of the dialogue is just silent. It's a bit awkward. Maybe too hard on yourself. You actually seem more excited by attacking than defending. So I think I would just like, you know, read it out at this point. I fear you are right. Shield design wasn't even our idea. Story from previous expeditioners. It may be an impossible job to be alone. You can do it. Believe in yourself, man. Right. I need to figure out an attack plan. And then we'll chow down on never much for breakfast. I'm just not even gonna bother. It feels so weird. Feeling better already. How much support from me in the past few minutes of the bosses that given me in his lifetime. Don't worry about it. That's what I do. Oh, we got a merchant. Okay. I can't fight him, unfortunately. And now for Gustav, I'm not worried about it. Find expedition to unlock side in the shop. Okay. A haircut for Gustav, not beauty. I love me this job. Huh. Damn, this man's tall. Look at him. You're what? Oh, he's all the way over there. What the? Can I get up there? Is it? I don't know if I could get up there. There is probably a way, but I can't find it right now. If there's a rope, I'll use it, but... Yeah, I don't want to get up there. Are they like praying to something? Oh, these are just statues. Oh, that's a guy. Oh, I didn't even think that. Okay. He's a doctor. Oh, I guess we'll all die then. Damn. That's messed up, bro. You are literally the worst doctor, and why are you so big? That explains it. You ate Nevrons. Oh, that was a joke. That sounds terrible. That means you're gonna become like literally like a giant at some point. Oh, that sounds painful. Hold on, he is actually a good doctor. Okay, hold on. I'm liking his backstory, okay. 10,000. Holy shit. For now, I feel bad for this guy, man. Okay, you know what? I apologize, okay, after hearing that. Okay. Oh, sorry. No, I actually feel bad now. I actually feel bad. After hearing all that. Where is the big guy?
Allons parfait. C'est strano. Vege passe-pas. C'est mon mina. Kivek. Vega. Noko.
Perfectly in sync. Love it.
Ukiniga e.
What? Get on my side. What the? That was rude. Tournament starting soon. Please wait. Okay. I'm guessing that's gonna be unlocked later. Meteor the Colossus. Okay, have I checked everything? Like, I swear to God, bro. Like, I've run around this entire village for God knows how long. I think there was that giant thing that I was gonna look at. Yeah, like, what is going on over here? I have to check this out. Like, what the hell is this? Look at these guys, they're freaking ginormous. I think I'll stick with the old method for now. This is cool though, god damn. Like, they are ginormous. I think I've talked pretty much everyone though. Except...
Eso kido. To ni soge gawilo. Pula fosov nabe.
a void sword. That's great, but could they make sure these scabbats only attack Nevrons?
Oh maleficio nagomilula. Oh bamena seta.
You guys are nuts, man, seriously.
Kido.
It's a wonder Gestrels survived this long. Yeah. Yeah. They pick a fight with literally everything. How are they still alive? Okay, let me talk to you. I've literally been... Oh, you're not the chief? Oh, that guy's the chief then. Are they doing push-ups? What the hell is... What is going on here?
Malito de warrior. ¿Tú me cuba ultimate sacapata?
It wasn't that strong.
Speak for yourself, okay?
Naru, poquito de mi respecto. Miko Suli?
You're the chef? So I wasn't imagining that.
Gorojito Bota? Un poquito de Romani? Dumba Kaka Expeditiono.
There are so many questions I'd love to ask.
We need to get to the Paintress. Noko said you could help us cross the sea.
Humano. Pincorinco Paintress.
And with good reason, too.
Others have passed through here.
Dumba Kaka Expeditiono. Kato Matomaro. Gorojito Bota? Un poquito de Romani?
A white-haired man destroyed it.
Surimoto Priva. Me respecto.
They know about him.
You know him?
Io sano villaggio. Wila foserito. Lofo. Ok. Sano bibo bota. Wila foserito eskie.
Ask.
Nima Cuba. Rico eskie koraniso gama watero.
So SKA exists.
Kimotira, eskero fotupo kiso. Kinikako warrior litoga ki. Ikokio passwordito.
Why?
Eske tirarofo. Tupo eskiere marifiso.
He could accidentally eat us? What?
Eske kimabanofo migeri.
How tough is this man?
Amigiza irresponsibile. Kibariko que me eskie.
We already defeated your ultimate Sakapatat.
Ki, ma, sumi, karatam.
So what do you want?
Rito te sakima rejan del tornamento.
Oh my god.
Surimoto priva. Me respecto.
All of you just want to fight, man.
Aiko. Sano regendari wariaro. Zam zam. Herodura.
Wait a minute, wait. What is this tournament?
Tomo de arena. Chi sono I famiglie di expedizione? Lucky to me stranger. Puki puki.
The stranger?
The stranger?
Who the fuck is that?
Zumba kaka expeditiono. Kato matumaro. Malito de warrior. Tu me kuwa ultimate sakapata?
Just take us there.
Naru. Puki tuve mi respecto. Miko suli?
I don't think I get anything out of kicking these guys' asses.
Lead the way.
Just practice. So to enter the tournament, okay. Boy.
Rakaptore pottitti kurokko. Markko poppo.
I found three of our legendary champions and a mysterious new warrior. Is he from the expedition? I bet you they're from the expedition. I'm betting on it. I'm sure the prize is a powerful weapon? Oh, how about it, huh? Sure. Which in the arena it's one-on-one fights only. Oh, that's gonna be interesting. Whereas I'll sign you up as a team, I'll thank you. Decide before each fight who gets the honor of getting beat up. Okay, so it is one-on-one, but we can switch. Okay. And Burden and Big Hands. I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do, you know, that's the issue. What am I dealing with? I'll use Loon because she's pretty much good at everything. Yeah, I think I might be able to carry that.
Feel the burn.
Now we can fire.
Ready to evade.
Now we can ice either. Oh, it's a different attack. Okay. I was like, why is he taking so long?
I'm ready.
I parried that. Okay, I guess I was too late. Not weak to that either.
I'm ready. Let the ink flow.
Oh, now's the time. Mayhem. Yeah, if I have Loot, I can pretty much take all of them down, I think. You want... well... How many more fights do we have? Don't make giant feet. So first it was giant arms. Now it's giant feet. Okay. I'm sensing a theme here. Let's try Gustav this time. I don't know. Okay, that was very interesting. It takes a century with that. I'm just gonna dodge. I swear parrying is like so hard in this game. So you're not burning right now. Go for a marking shot. I just don't know when to parry him. He is like taking a century to attack. There we go. One. Well. Next time won't be so easy, I'm sure. Oh yeah? Oh, it's Matthew the Colossus. The other guy was talking about him. Let's use my own this time.
Shields out. Let's dance.
Nope. Try again.
Finesse and grace. Ah! Let's dance.
Oh, he faked me out. Wow, that's interesting.
On guard.
Nobody's ever done that before. Huh. Oh, damn it. Too early.
Ready to parry.
Oh, that was too late.
On guard. From fire.
Oh my god. I'm just gonna dodge now. Because sometimes he fakes you out, you know, but that was a mistake. These ones are easy though. Mysterious new warrior. Okay, I'm gonna have to use Loon for this one. Gotta take this seriously. Yeah, definitely from the expedition. Oh, that's yeah, that's her. I forgot what her name was. Well, she got here somehow.
Wait, that's...
Yeah.
See how?
Yeah. I don't know what she's doing here.
What? How? You guys? You're alive! I thought I was the only one left. I knew you were resourceful. How did you get here? They're expecting a bit of a show.
Let's give them a show,
Shall we?
Oof, okay. This is gonna be hard, I can already tell.
I'm ready. Let us stain them.
Okay, I don't know why it switched camera angles here. That really caught me off guard. I'm not gonna lie.
Feel the burn. Ready to evade. I'm ready.
Rush above to increase the speed of the character by 33%. Interesting.
I'll do it.
I only dodged one of those. I could probably parry that, but I'm like too scared to do it. Oh damn.
Overflowing with energy.
You're done. Sit down. Yeah, shows off the champion a special weapon. Okay.
Well, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah, it really just felt like beating old people.
So it wasn't so bad.
Am I one of those old people?
Yeah, she's right
One
there.
day, I hope. Hey, how'd you end up here?
Oh, after the beach, I ended up in an odd yellow forest, not too far from here. Had to dodge a few Nevrons, but luckily I met a Gestrel who guided me here. What about you?
Well, I woke up next to a waterfall and...
We can talk later. Let's get back to Golga.
It's gonna be a dramatic moment, man. You just ruined it.
No time to lose.
Come on now. You heard how the music was kicking up and then it just stopped all of a sudden. Oh man. So she's joined the party. Do you wish to play as Shiel's tutorial? Yes. I want to see how she works.
Not today.
Okay.
Zoom in.
How does she work? Shield can apply and consume foretell on enemies. So she uses cards, creates sun and moon charges by casting skills, enter twilight by combining sun and moon charges. Skills that apply foretell generate sun charges, skills that consume foretell generate moon charges. Interesting. Shield's starting skills are Focused Foretell and Twilight Slash. Focused Foretell applies 5 foretell and generates 1 sun charge. Properly using Focused Foretell applies foretell and gains 1 sun charge. Okay.
Here's your card.
That was way too early.
Zoom in.
So now, using Focused Foretell is given 1 sun charge applied 5 foretell. Shield gets bonus effects while a sun charge or moon charge is active. Sun charge gain 1 AP per foretell consumed. Moon charge gain 1 AP per foretell applied. So the more skill she uses, the more AP she gets. That's actually interesting. Twilight Slash consumes all foretell on the target to increase the damage, also generates 1 moon charge. Focus Foretell applied 5 foretell on the target, so the she already has 1 sun charge. Casting Twilight Slash will give it back 5 AP. Twilight Slash will consume foretell, gain 5 AP and generate 1 moon charge.
saw your future.
So times 2 max foretell, times 2 foretell applied plus 2% damage. At the start of her turn, if she has both the moon and sun charge, she consumes them to enter twilight for 2 turns. During twilight, she applies double foretell. The maximum amount of foretell for enemies increases from 10 to 20, damage increases depending on the number of sun and moon. Try to make the passage of twilight to maximize foretell application and damage. Okay, so you want to build that up basically. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, she's an interesting character, I won't deny it. Wait, so do I have 4 party members? Or no, you can only have 3. Oh, and she's level 15, oh shoot. I don't think I can use her yet. Yeah, she's gonna be in the bench for a bit until we level everyone up. But for like, I don't know who I would replace, you know? Maybe Gustav? Gustav doesn't actually do much unless he gets his charge up. Can I actually remove myself from the party? I can. Okay. She has 318. Wow. She has like no HP. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. This is gonna be very interesting. I think, like, if anyone's getting replaced, it would probably be Mayal, because I don't want to replace Gustav. He's literally the freaking protagonist. I don't like doing that. But, hey, we'll see. I'm not using her yet, though. Okay, she's level 15, so.
Si tu l'emper champion! Laco, Laco! C'est pas squaldito, eh? Get out my way!
That's the password. You know, I love the fact she said that in English as well. Like, not even their language. She said that in English.
The password is get out of my way.
Of course. Of course.
Very gestural-ish.
Yeah.
Es que esto te soquimal villaggio. Suniso, poco chisolero. Rico passwordito coranisu. E suniso gamabibe troco.
As loud as we can. Got it.
Thank you for everything.
Io sano biboture.
Gestural positivity is so heartwarming.
Una fosse. Rito de bagdoro ana. Rico femi coranisu.
Thanks, Chef.
Provoke her to a duel? Yes.
Surimoto pliva. Me respecto.
I want to try. I want to see how screwed I'm gonna be. I want to try. Okay.
Okay, sano bibo bota. Willa fosse rito eskie.
She's gonna kick my ass, isn't she?
Nima Kuba. Rico eskie coranisu gama watero.
You know, I did say she's probably gonna kick my ass, but I didn't think it was gonna be that fast. Wow. She literally just poked us and we died. Oh, I'm not messing with you. But maybe I want to remember this. So, at the end of the game, I want to come back and fight her again and see what happens. Because at that point, we're gonna be a lot stronger, a lot more health. Especially open the back door. Like this way? Oh, what the? Oh, it's a drum.
Teo, 52nd Expedition. Man, I could barely think straight. Hulking gesture broke my skull. What the fuck kind of friendly fight was that? Oh, I'm bleeding out, but their medic is bloody useless. He just keeps telling me about his bone problems. But I'm gonna die here, aren't I?
You know, this is actually more funny after hearing the freaking medic story. I'm glad I found this after hearing the story. That's funny. He keeps talking about his freaking bone problems, man. I'm dying over here. What is he doing? Oh, that is hilarious. I love it.
Guro.
Huh?
Hombre. Sekira Dobonina.
If you do 9,999 damage, you win a prize.
Imanoko.
Returning the battle zone for the minute.
Ebomina.
I'm not strong enough, sorry, bro.
Ito Savajin.
Maybe later. But I'm definitely not strong enough right now. Any of you got a new weapon? Guess not. Well, they were talking about a back entrance before, but I don't see that anywhere. I'm like so lost. I'll just go out the back, go out the way I came. That'll be easier. Gestural Village. Back at camp.
I still can't believe it. I lost hope after a while, but you all survived.
What was your plan if we hadn't? Be a gestural champion until your gamage?
Well, it was a lot of fun, so yeah, maybe.
Noko's quite obsessed with your arm. Your apprentices would be extremely proud knowing a gestural loves their work.
Yeah, they'd be insanely excited.
Well, they did a great job designing your arm. It was quite a creative assignment you gave them.
Well, when life gives you lemons.
Losing an arm is quite a lemon.
Yeah, it's not lemonade.
Where is my arm? Where the hell is she? Is she in here? No? I'm gonna upgrade my weapons first. Jesus. Can't upgrade any of this stuff yet. Oh, you only have 15. Let's up that a bit. So we can upgrade this to 298, which I'm not going to do right now. It should be level 10 for that. That's going to take a century. not gonna upgrade that because that's literally your recent weapon. I think I'll just save the rest for now. Where's my outfit? I'm missing her somewhere? Where the fuck is she? I don't see her anywhere. Oh, there she is. Bro, are you over here? Just stare in silence, okay.
Maybe you should stay.
What?
It's safer in the village.
And missed the chance to meet Eskie, eh? No way.
Mael.
I'm okay. We stick together.
You know she's not leaving, bro. No way in hell. Okay. Check on the others. Can we do that in a bit? Find the journal first. That's about Gastros. He knows how happy his apprentices will be to learn that they exist. Bruh, I feel bad for telling them they don't exist. I thought they were monsters, man. That's why I said that. Episode 1 Day's apprentice read everything you wrote.
For those who come after.
Okay, check up on the others. Say something.
You okay? You've been quiet since we left the village.
Yeah, sorry. Just bad memories.
Wanna talk about it?
No.
No.
I'm glad you're here.
I would never abandon a member of Aquafarm 3.
Aquafarm 3.
Aquafarm 3.
That was so long ago.
What was that?
You and Sophie were inseparable on that project.
Yeah, we were.
That was a good project. It fed so many neighborhoods at once. Kind of nostalgic thinking back. We really thought we were making a difference.
Hey, we're still making a difference.
Yes. Of course.
Yeah.
A bit awkward, but okay, I'll take it. I don't know why it was that awkward.
I can't believe it. We're gonna meet the Esquier. The Gestrels and Esquier. The tales are true.
Do you feel something?
What the hell is going on? Who are you?
White hair. Who are you?
Alicia, I told you to stay home. It's not good for you to see this.
That's that guy that freaking killed everyone.
Yes. Yes, I understand.
What?
It's her fault, and she doesn't even know it. But you can't be here.
What?
What are you talking about? What's my fault? What is this?
You should never have come. You're only going to make things worse for everyone.
What the hell are you talking about?
Now take your friends and go home. Let them spend their final year in peace. This is your only warning.
I can't wait to see.
So all that happened just like 1 second?
Hey. Hey.
Sam, I saw him. The white-haired man and this woman.
What did you see? Mael, breathe. Slow down. What did you see? Think carefully. Every detail could be important.
He said we need to go home and that it's my fault. And that I'm gonna make things worse for everyone. You were all frozen. I couldn't. It was like a waking nightmare.
It's okay.
What else? You said there was a woman.
Nate, maybe later.
She had a mask, and
I know this is hard, but I need you to focus, okay? While the details are fresh.
Luna, ask her tomorrow.
She's not gonna remember tomorrow. That's how it goes with dreams.
Breathe. Listen to me. You're safe.
Well, I guess this was kind of different, but, you know.
It's over.
What the hell is that, man? What the fuck? Why did she see that? Like, what is so special about her? Like, besides the fact that she fights like a master swordsman. Besides that, I mean. Like, what is...
Feeling better?
I don't know what's up with that. Like, I don't get it yet, but maybe I will.
Yeah. We can debrief along the way. Let's head east to Eskier's Nest.
Okay, I have to go this way.
Ah, cool, come Willow, fosse equipo.
What? Me? I'm not lost at all. My name isn't Lost Gastro. No. No, what are you talking about?
Sole voce, vambaio, solo face.
Bro, your fate was sealed once you were named Lost Gastro, okay? You can't say you aren't lost. The game has decided it for you. You seem pretty lost to me, that's what your freaking name says.
Chissà lo fo, che nagomiro rapito, ah la la ça va.
Sarah can't like.
Oh, grinda da Vicky, rampe malo la co. Ah, lutido.
Office after the meantime. Okay, random guy in our camp. I'll take it. It's a big dude over there. Am I gonna have to fight him? Hmm.
Oh, Pico Bano, Ocarito, Passwordito, mi parino.
Golgra said to shout the password as loud as we can. Well, Gustav.
Why's it gotta be us? Bro, come
You're
on.
the loudest.
Whatever you do it.
Really? Hey.
Come on. Don't be shy.
Get out of my way!
Yes. Upakima ba parino.
That's the password.
No. It's just it's the password.
Pico femico la gorgranda bari bombi no passwordito.
Are you
Gomiku rapito sava.
What was the freaking point? Are you why did we do all that, man? I feel the pain.
Look, I am very sorry. It's just that Golgra told us that's the password, and
Come on, it's a gestural. I'll have forgotten in about a minute.
I'm sorry.
Poor guy, man. Just doing his job. They're like, get out of my freaking way. So messed up, man.
Interesting decor.
Esquier is said to feed on light.
Are you okay, Maya?
I don't know. Getting a bit of deja vu again.
The light here feels a little... I don't know. Yeah.
Something down. Oh, yep, okay, something down here. Is that the right way, though? I think it is. That's entirely missable, right? So... probably something extra down here. Oh, it's one of you. Yeah, keep running. See how far they get you. Oh, what the hell? Freaking slip or something. Okay, we're getting there. How far do you go, bro? Okay, there's probably like a spot I could put you in, but I don't know where it is. I'm looking around for it. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see it anywhere. Oh, there we go. I thought that was a spot. Where do I have to put you? I don't... It feels like that glowing thing I saw before. Oh, there it is. I think that's it. That's gotta be it. Yes.
Defenses are down.
Chrome is flowing.
Thought that would do more.
Okay.
I'm ready. I'll do it.
Charge is at 5, okay. I don't think I'm gonna get this one. Don't have to charge for this.
I'm ready.
A lot of damage. Logan.
Lightning. Strike.
That wasn't enough.
Let's spill some ink.
A storm is coming.
Okay, this can do it. Please. Oh my god, it was so close, bro. Are you serious? I was so close. Man, that sucks. Something up here, I want to get that. I have to parkour, don't I? Not go up there either.
No escape.
It's freaking ginormous.
Mes amis.
Hey, bonjour mon ami. Ciel.
Art? I don't know. He seems nice.
Oh, it's you. Hello again, my terrible swimmer friend.
What?
You finally come to learn to swim?
No. I'm not that fond of water.
Actually, that's sort of why we're here. We need to cross the sea. Golgra said you could help.
Mon ami, a rolling stone gathers no moss.
Pardon me?
In the stories, they say Esquier likes to speak in riddles.
In what way?
I don't get it.
We really need to cross the sea. Would you please help us?
There's a lot of you to carry. I'm strong, but I'm not that strong. I will need Flory.
Who's Flory?
One of my rocks.
What?
Rocks.
See? Flory helps me swim. But Flory was stolen by my arch nemesis. The one whose every step shakes the foundation of the world. The one known as Francois.
Okay.
Huh.
Let me guess. Francois is located deep in Nevron-infested territory, right?
Oh no. He's right next door. Over there.
Really?
Francois is my neighbor.
Okay. Well, I guess we could take a look.
Fantastic. Good luck, mes amis. Please, bring Flory back to me.
You seem to know me.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yes.
How? I don't understand.
Men trip not on mountains. They stumble upon stone.
What does that mean?
Okay.
She's like, why did I even bother asking you? I think that's his way of saying that you're thinking about small issues and not dealing with bigger problems. I think that's what he meant. I don't know. That's
The
just
more
me.
information we get, the more questions I have.
Yeah.
You okay, Sia?
Yeah. Esquier is surprising.
I'm swarming up butt up. To rest you. Also, I forgot I did not do the attributes yet. You have 45 freaking points. I got. Okay, so you have 251 defense. Wait, you're talking 251 speed, never mind. No defense. That might be an issue. Gotta fix that right away. Seems like you're like a might and agility focused character. HP is like not your thing. Might and agility. Who's focusing? Yeah, so you're basically the same as Loon. Let's put 10 points in here. Like defensive vitality is gonna be like pretty damn close, like 8 or yeah, basically. I'll be 6. I'm gonna go up from there pretty much. 9. Okay. And hold on, you also have skills that can. Oh my god. I get so disoriented. Yeah, you have 14 skill points. Applies rush. Okay, I definitely need that. Please give that to me. Dark damage applies mark to the target. It's not too bad. Deals medium single target damage. Uses weapon. Okay. I'll take this. Deals low dark damage to all enemies. I'll take that. Silver Brigades targets blocked all allies. By shell, powerful rush to all allies. Is that so? I'll work towards that. For sure. Like that sounds amazing. Also, wow, I did not even notice this. One head uses heal self with 40%. Can use off to increase healing. Yeah, you definitely need a healing thing. It's useful. Also do damage plus foretell. Okay, there's like a bunch of stuff here. Wait. Targeted ally deals double damage for 1 turn. Wow, that is amazing. Okay, so you have all these skills now. You do need harvest, so hold on. Take that away, get harvest instead. That costs 7, that costs 2. Foretell per hit. Oh, so it's 2 to 6 hits. Okay. That's 7 for yeah, god damn, it's freaking expensive as all hell. I'm just gonna switch that to harvest. And the Twilight Slash, need that. Medium single target, low dark damage. she does, okay, so if there's anyone who's weak to dark, she's like perfect for it pretty much. And light attacks. Otherwise, I don't really see a point of using her besides like the like when she eventually gets the all buff skill that she has. Like speed up, defense up, and all that. Like that's a pretty good skill to have, but she doesn't have that right now. So like for just these skills, I don't want to really use her yet, you know? Like I don't really feel a point in using her yet. So, where's the stone?
There's nothing here.
Who dares enter my lair?
Francois.
You can't just walk into someone's home without knocking. That is incredibly rude.
With the rocks talking.
Are you Francois?
Oh my god.
He's just a talking rock.
Wait, I thought Florrie was the rock.
A rock? I am not a rock. Do you have rocks for eyes? You certainly have rocks for brains. I am clearly a turtle.
Right.
Esquier! Stop sending hooligans over here!
Stop being a meanie. They're nice humans.
Then keep them on your side of the caves! Now get off my lawn!
It's okay. We'll leave. We're just here for Florrie.
So, not only are you intruding, you're here to steal? Oh my word! Humans! Well, over my dead body! Rah!
Oh my god. Wait, nothing happened. Oh, there we go. I was about to say, nothing's ever easy, is it?
I'm ready.
Okay. That was certainly interesting, so I have to dodge it.
Not looking good.
Bro, it's...
Finesse and grace.
A storm is coming.
It's always so freaking difficult to dodge in this game. I still don't have that reviving skill on me. I need to get that soon. Like immediately, pretty much.
Lune, watch out!
Anya.
Get ready.
When are you supposed to dodge that? It's so freaking ridiculous, bro. Can reserve team? No. That's literally pointless. They really expect you to freaking dodge that. Seriously. It's so hard to tell when he's attacking. Can I skip? Thank you. Oh my god. I don't know how I dodged that, but I did. Is there even a point in using guard? I don't think there is.
A storm is coming.
Get ready.
Finesse and grace.
He is on fire, so probably.
Run. Let us stain them.
Okay, so he's good now.
Danger!
Let's spill some ink.
Chroma is flowing.
There's no point in healing because literally he one-shots you. Don't have enough.
Their defenses are down.
Overflowing with energy.
Use 5 for that though. It should be fine actually, no, but if I use this 5, I don't have that, so it's fine.
Lightning. Strike.
Let's go.
Tied up.
Okay, that wasn't a dodge, that was something else, but I don't know what it was.
I'm ready.
Still don't have enough.
Chroma is flowing.
Okay, you have enough for this. You're done. So you only had one attack, which is incredibly
let's put an end
English.
to this foolishness. I need to sleep like a turtle.
It was freaking annoying, bro.
All this trouble for a tiny rock.
Take it and never come back.
Francois, you got smashed.
But know that I will never stop chasing you.
You're a freaking turtle. How are you gonna chase me?
But you can't move.
Scram!
Alright. Oh my god, that was freaking hilarious, bro. Oh, okay. So we got something from that, right? We got augmented first strike. 50% increased damage with the first hit. That's useless. I'm literally never using that, like ever. That's literally useless. Then again, you have 6 now, right? So can I like give something to you? I could give you energizing jump now, but like, if there's another expensive one like augmented attack, I'll save it for that. Oh, you have 13. Oh my god. Okay. Increase critical chance on burning enemies. might actually get that from here. Oh yeah, you have nothing, right? So I'll give you Dodger. Augmented attack, augmented counter. Staggering attack. Yeah, that's good enough for now. I should probably stop here though. Yeah, pretty late. Let me upgrade my attributes first. 10 on defense, do need 10 on vitality. Agility and luck. Nothing for you and you. As for skills, I can't learn anything with you, right? Is there something new? Because like, you told me to check this. Nothing really new here. Yeah, nothing with you. Nothing with you. Alright, I think I'm gonna call it here for today. So, anyways guys, peace out and good night.